It's always weird going live with this YouTube setup. I think I'm live now. Alright, I think I am live. Howdy everybody. Hopefully you guys are coming in on this Christmas Eve. So as people are kind of moseying in, let's start off with a little bit of light Christmas jazz. I apologize for this kind of setup that I'm going to do here. It is not very sophisticated. So I'm just rolling with my speakers. So here we go. I totally blew that ending. But hey, you're not paying for this concert, so we're not gonna complain. Alright, how are you guys doing? Play some Louis Armstrong. I have to pull up some Louis Armstrong. I don't know enough Louis Armstrong. So yeah, howdy y'all. I am John Hess. Like we're getting right to the questions, right to the comments. Did I like Tenet? I think we talked about Tenet the last two episodes that I was online. I don't want to bore people with it too much about my feelings on Tenet. But how you doing, Austin Guerrero? How you doing, Arseny Munn, Matthew Sanchez, and Little Mill? Thank you guys for kind of hanging out today. Is a Christmas chill stream. I have, I came here today. I have an e-bike that I had to get some work done today, so I went and got that bike and then came here, and I was expecting to do a little bit of work. Moved my van out of my studio so I could have some space to kind of clean up. I started kind of moving some things around. I took one look at it, and 5 seconds later, like, nope, I am noped out. I am completely noped out right now. You know, they taught you there's this. The old joke is senioritis, right? People who have senioritis or seniors in high school, they just check out. I've got Christmasitis. It is the 23rd of December. Today is the update for Flight Simulator for VR, which I'm going to be trying out. See if I can get that done and try that out today. But yeah, so my office is a complete disaster zone. FEMA has declared it so. Just kidding, obviously. I made that joke last time. But I am totally checked out as far as just not caring about anything anymore right now. So yeah, but I promised I would go on stream and just like hang out with you guys for a little bit before Christmas. Yeah, young Kazi, how you doing? Yeah, VR and Microsoft Flight Simulator with the new version, which is the Insano version, where basically it's like they've recreated Earth and you can fly over your house, and it's reasonably a good facsimile of what your house might look like if a AI decided it wanted to put your make your house there. How you doing, M Mac? M Mac is in the stream. So yeah, what are you guys up to? What are you guys hanging out? I think we talked about The Expanse last time. That comes out today. So the new episode of Expanse is every Wednesday. So we gotta check that out tonight. Mandalorian's wrapped up. We talked about that last time, and other than that, I don't have a whole lot of stuff on my view deck to watch. Although I am working on, you can probably hear me like banging away on my fingers. Did I get a PS5 yet? I'm not really a console gamer. I have a PS4, and I've played like Grand Theft Auto 5 on it. I did The Witcher Wild Hunt on it. I did, what's the last game I played on that PS5? Oh, Red Dead Redemption 2. Didn't finish any of those games. I just, like, I really enjoy them for a while, and then I just kind of lose interest because I try to go on side missions, and I just lose the point of the plot. And I'd like, well, I got other stuff that keeps me busy, so I don't. My PS4 gets a lot. I use it a lot to stream Netflix, and Amazon and Disney Plus. I use PS4 more for watching movies than I do for actually anything else. Phil Ingruili, I totally butchered that. Have you watched any Hallmark Christmas movies, or would you? I'm sure I would. I've got a huge crush on Winnie from Wonder Years. What's her name? Danica McClellan. And I follow her because she's just so freaking gorgeous. And I noticed that she's in a lot of Hallmark movies. So, yeah, if it, I know she's married, but if it, gets me a date with Danica, I would watch a Hallmark movie in a heartbeat. I'd watch that stuff. Oh yeah, absolutely. I have nothing against Hallmark Christmas movies. I have nothing against, like I was in a kind of a flame war yesterday, I guess, on Facebook. We're talking about camera stuff because, it's better than talking about politics. Better than being upset about talking about politics. It's much more fun to talk about crop factor because I don't take crop factor personally. And the nice thing about arguing with crop factor is there is a right viewpoint. So I was getting into a pretty heated discussion, and I guess the guy who knew me attacked me like, "Oh, what do you know? You shoot city council meetings for a living." And I'm like, okay, well, how does that preclude me from understanding how crop factor works? So, I mean, and the fact is I haven't shot a city council. My point of all this was that I don't disparage any kind of video motion picture making. The person making a Hollywood blockbuster is just as important, or just as the work is the same as the person that's shooting a city council meeting. It's work that's shooting a quinceanera party. It doesn't matter. The funny thing is, there's such, in the filmmaking world, is such a in awe of like Christopher Nolan, right? We talk about Tenet. Oh my gosh, dude, people are watching his work sitting on the toilet on their phone. I mean, if you break down to it, movies are mass consumption media that people are engaging with, in all kinds of formats, right? It's not like Mozart's day, where if you wanted to listen to Mozart, you get all dressed up, and then, of course, the movie Amadeus kind of throws a wrench in that theory. But it's not like big famous movies are somehow consumed in a highfalutin way, Like another example I want to give, I like to give is product ads, like people that buy the most expensive still cameras and large format cameras, medium format digital cameras. They're being used to shoot product photos, right? And what happens to most product photos? They end up lining your pet's cage. They get printed in a magazine, they get printed in a newspaper, and then they end up lining the bottom of the cage where your cat literally shits on it. So that is the reality of media. So don't get so highfalutin about, I shoot for national brands. I only shoot, yeah, your national brand is covering the bottom of my rabbit's boo-boo. We call it boo-boo. My family calls it boo-boo. Boo-boo box. Anyhow, I am getting off of you guys' topics. Let's talk more. Let's see your comments here. Young Kazi's talking about Tenet. Yeah, I liked, I'll briefly cover what I just said about Tenet the last couple times I was on here. Basically, I liked Tenet a lot more when somebody explained it to me on YouTube. So look up Tenet Explained on YouTube, and I think you'll get a much better appreciation for the film. I just wish the film had what was explained to me in the freaking film. So, what and think about Blender. I think we talked, this is like deja vu from my couple other videos. I'm not a big fan of Blender, so sorry guys. MX says, been working on a new documentary and it's going well so far. The project is slowly killing me. What is it you take on the idea of a documentary movies that can only be created in post? What is your take on the idea that documentary movies can only be created in post? They are largely created in post, which is why I don't particularly like documentary. I don't like that. I'm sorry. I don't like documentary, and yet documentary is what pays for basically everything you probably see in front of you. I make the bulk of my money on documentary, not like documentary, feature documentary, but documentary style. Like as far as like producing content for clients, that is all essentially documentary. The idea of talking head and B-roll. And the fact is, a lot of documentaries are created in post. In fact, that's kind of how, documentaries become reality. You can kind of go out and script a documentary, and that's the way I prefer it. I'd rather go out with a plan that, like, here's what I want to shoot, and then we create that from, that's how Filmmaker IQ videos happen, right? But I cannot, it's really hard for me to deal with documentary. I mean, that's really tough. So yeah, I feel your pain. Feel your pain, man. Young Kazi, I can't stand action films that do not give me a reason for why punching is happening, or at least characters to care about. But protagonists are so bland. I guess you're talking about Tenet. Yeah. 12345. Hey, welcome back. I remember your name because I remember that handle. Let's say technology and money were no issue. Do you think high frame rate would take over 24 FPS? No, because for Marvel, technology and money are no issue. For Star Wars, they are no issue. Like literally. And the funny thing, I was talking because somebody asked me this on YouTube earlier today, and it was asking about like making promo products. So I looked up like Harley Davidson, and I remember this going back to my old commercial days when I used to work in local television advertising, which sounds way more glamorous than it is. But when you get stock footage from, let's say, Toyota, because every year Toyota would go out and shoot all their cars driving down, some beautiful city street. So all these car manufacturers would make these gorgeous demo reels, B-roll of their car, and then they would give that to the car dealers, and the car dealers would make a commercial out of that B-roll. Like, come on down to the Solaris, only $395 a month, whatever. We got new deals. So you would get this footage, but the footage would always be 24 frames a second. Always 24 frames a second. Even though we local ad guys were shooting 60i. Which is 30 essentially, but it's really 60 frames a second. So anytime you got like high quality footage, it was always 24. So the money was 24, not 60. So that's the thing. Like, and yes, there is, like in my video, I do make a point that 24 is cheaper. Yes, it is, but it looks more expensive. That's the funny thing about it. Best audio codec for DTS HDMA. I'm not sure. I'm imagining you're asking about delivery, but audio codecs, you just usually, the best one is uncompressed. But, if you're delivering stuff, it's like MPEG 3 or whatever, I guess, embedded in the MP4 stream or whatever nonsense. I don't know. Quit asking me these questions. Look it up. I don't know. It's Christmas. Leave me alone. No, just kidding. Keep coming. That's fine. I'll answer whatever. European Productions TV says vampires go blah, blah, blah. I'm sure I'm missing the context around that. ASP Productions Live. I've done some small films no longer than 15 minutes, mostly for smaller budgets under $50,000 on special needs productions for 100 staff on board. That's not a small budget. That's not a small budget, dude. To me, that's comfortable budget. The entire film was only 70 minutes from behind the screen. All right. Gutzig TV says, did you watch One Punch Man? And I've not heard of that. So maybe you have to look at that. Play some Clifford Brown. Oh my gosh. Yeah. I don't know Clifford Brown that well. I don't know Clifford. That's a song. I don't know songs that well. I mean, I can kind of hack through some things, but I'm not a play by memory person. I've never been. And it's always been like frustrating because I'm an excellent sight reader, if I do say so myself. I mean, I can sight read like high school level music. I can sight read perfectly on the first try. Period. Just perfectly. Harder stuff, I could hack it after 2 or 3 times. But like, so I could sight read like a monster. But I can't play by ear very well, which is ironic because I get frustrated with people who can't read music, who can play perfectly by ear. It's like, it's no, read the music, but then they can play like stuff by ear. Vozio wants to ask. Oh, here's a good question. What's on my Christmas list for film gear? Well, seeing that no one buys me anything, I'm my own Santa Claus. I already kind of got my Christmas stuff already purchased, and I bought it in November. But I bought the Canon C70. So whenever that comes in stock, I will get that camera. And as far as gear, I want to redo my entire set, and I'm going to do it the Mandalorian style. I'm going to do virtual screens behind me. So I want to do that. So look forward to that next year in 2021. So I'll be doing some like IQ bits and just one things from the studio, but they'll have like a cool background. I want to do stuff like that. And I mean, I buy a lot of little tiny stuff like to fill out, streaming and all that crap a lot. I mean, I've been kind of a bad boy in that I've been making some money lately. So I just kind of like, well, if I need it, I'll buy it. If I don't need it, I won't buy it. Like the other day, I was just like on the fence of whether to buy this Hollyland transmitters. These Hollyland Mars 400 transmitters to do some just stream stuff wirelessly, because I do occasionally do streaming stuff. But then I thought, I don't have any jobs that require it, and why would I need to buy it? It's $400. Why would I need to spend that money for? Like, don't. I'm not going to spend that money. I would save it up. Are those LED walls used in The Mandalorian safe for the eyes? I think they are. I've seen them in NAB a couple years ago. They're not like brighter than like a regular set would be. So I wouldn't imagine they are too bad on the eyes. Romanian trumpet player as well. You know how trumpet players introduce each other? They go like this: "Hi, I'm John. I play trumpet, and I'm better than you." He'll get that. That's not rude. That's just the mentality of trumpet players. It's not rude. Music by ear is a rare thing to have. 2020 Christmas film opinions lately. Are there any 2020 Christmas films? I don't think there are. Hey, if you guys haven't checked it out though, do look at the movies that made us and watch the making of Elf. And then watch the making of Night Before Christmas, because those are two really great little documentaries on how filmmaking really happens. It's not like the Night Before Christmas one's a good one that ties into my video on auteur theory, because I talk a little bit about that, because it's Tim Burton's Nightmare Before Christmas, and Tim Burton had nothing to do with it other than like coming up with original concepts and kind of shepherding it. But it was Harry Selick, I think that's his name, Henry Selick or whatever, that's the actor, that basically directed it. And then the documentary actually follows like the entire process of how that film came to be, and how Disney was like, I don't know, we want to spend the money on this. Because, when Night Before Christmas came out, I mean, you guys are old enough to remember this, it was not a Disney picture. It was a Touchstone picture, because it was considered, I don't think this is Disney. The kid pulls up like a severed head from his Christmas box. Yeah, that's not Disney, right? So it was Touchstone. But they had to be convinced, like, hey, this is the first ever completely feature-length stop-action movie. They had to be convinced, and then they showed them like a 10-minute reel, and like, holy crap, okay, here's some extra money, finish your movie. And then eventually, around 2000, sometime like that, Disney's like, man, people are really liking this movie. Maybe we should put the Disney stamp all over it again. Henry Selick, thank you. But yeah. Oh, thank you, Furcan. Love everything you do. Thanks for being there. Yeah, thanks for. I was going to hang out with you guys for a little bit before I go home. I work in my office alone, so I don't have anybody to talk to. So I get to talk to you guys. What do you think about Van Hoytema cinematography on the last 3 Nolan movies? They become more bluish-brown in comparison to Pfister. What do you think? I like Hoytema. I'm not sure I'm pronouncing that even right. I love his work on Her, right? That was his film, right? Nolan's films are always great looking. I don't have anything like bad to say or critical of him. And I always thought Pfister's stuff was good too, but Pfister's off now. Like Wally Pfister is off trying to direct, which, hey, more power to him, man. More power to him. I don't know why I decided to do that. Yeah, how do you manage high notes? Okay, now we're going to talk about non-filmmaker stuff. All you filmmakers out there, you're going to hear some stuff about high notes. High notes is about compression. It's about airstream and airflow and just putting a lot of air into the horn. Now, I'm not going to I'm not trying to blow the microphone out, but like you can, if you create the right stream of air, you can get an impossibly high note with like hardly any pressure. Like, okay, now I haven't practiced. I've been out of practice for like a year because of the pandemic, right? But so that's all just about pressure. Now, doing that there was like a very little sound. Like if I put a whole lot more air, which I need to like actually train for, and I'm really out of shape as far as that is concerned. But you can do that with like, you can actually cut through like a big band with that. See, now I'm out of shape. I just embarrassed myself in front of another drum player. That's the worst thing you can do, is embarrass yourself. I just was like, how did you do that? You're such a bull. You can't even do it again. See, now my lips are shot because I talk a big game and I don't have the game. I am a grifter when it comes to high notes on trumpet. I used to be. I mean, back when I was playing a lot more, I could do like I was more of a lead player, so I'd play a lot of high note stuff, and I was kind of known for the high note in the amateur crowd around here. But anyhow, ASP Productions. Let's back to filmmaking. 1080p and 1080i are normal sometimes, unless you're using something bigger upgrades. Night for Christmas is both holiday season and Halloween Christmas at the same time. Yep. Yeah, 1080p, well, obviously, you know, if you're shooting stuff, 1080p is what you got to... But the thing is, if you're delivering anything to broadcast, it's always 1080i. Always, unless it's 720p. So yeah. What am I saying? I don't know. Yeah, hey guys, I'm sorry, I just jumped ahead real fast as far as the comments. Did I ever pass out? Pedro asked, did I ever pass out when playing high notes? I have. I remember in high school I was playing a pep rally, and it was like playing a really high note, like, and then like I came back. I will lose it, you know, and that's not good. You shouldn't be doing that. Passing out, not a good idea. Oh, great late Miles impression. I don't have a Miles on. And then Panenko asks, why isn't the stream at 24p? I believe it is, isn't it? Oh my God, it's at 30? Oh, how dare you? How dare you? Oh my God. Why isn't that at 30? That's a good question. Well, I'm not going to stop at the check, but it should have been at 30. Or it should have been at 24. Because somebody gave me crap over it last time. Why isn't your video at 24? And so I made sure everything was 24 today. And then for some reason it's shooting out 30. Alright, whatever. But, I mean, generally, for live stuff, I don't give a crap whether it's 30 or 24 or, you know, whatever. But I was just keeping up appearances. I love this question. Veritimo says, what do you say about Yedlin's display prep philosophy? You're a science guy. Do you think shooting on film informs the process enough to justify the environmental costs? I like Yedlin's... I look at Yedlin as a very, very good source of information. I think he's probably the most clear-thinking cinematographer, and he presents his stuff generously, because his stuff, like, it's incredibly difficult to understand if you're not, like, in there, if you're not, like, following it bit by freaking bit. I love the fact that he does that. So I am totally on... I support everything he does. In fact, I love his take on high frame rate. I love it, and I'm going to adopt it myself. And here's Steve Yedlin's, who's a director of photography. If you don't know, he's directed several things. I forget which director he's attached to right now. There's one director that always uses Yedlin. I think unless I'm making mistakes on who we're talking about. But anyhow, his whole thing on high frame rate is. He sees, like, there's no difference between shooting high frame rate and interpolating high frame rate. Well, there is a little bit. You're going to see some artifacting, but that will get better. So if in the future, if the algorithms to take 24 frames a second and make it 60, make it 120, make it 144, if those get so good that it becomes, visually the same as shooting those high frame rates, then we should just shoot 24, and you guys that love high frame rate, just interpret it high frame rate, and then you're happy, and the people that actually care about cinema, we're happy too. And I think that's the best solution of all. Like, I can honestly get like this, we should shoot everything in high frame rate, and then you guys should take a 24, you should have a shitty 24 version. No. We'll take our fine, delicious wine, and then you guys can just add sugar and water and make it your grape juice if you want that way. Oh, hi, Constantine. Thank you for the super chat. Best starter DSLR for filmmakers. I think something like an old used Canon, what was it, Canon XTs or Rebels, like those old cameras. Because if you're just starting, you can probably pick those up for really cheap. They get the basic principles, across. Like, I wouldn't necessarily. I'm not a big fan of DSLR filmmaking. I don't like it, like, at all. I think if you're serious about filmmaking, you really need to get out of the DSLR mindset. Like I said, I'm getting a C70. The C70 is probably the closest thing to a DSLR that I would be willing to accept. Even the Blackmagic pocket camera is a little DSLR-y. I would prefer to shoot with the Ursa. But then again, I'm not going to. I don't want to come across like I'm making diminutive DSLR filmmaking, because obviously it's made things very possible for people. Oh, Arseny, Rian Johnson, yeah, that's who Steve Yellens is attached to. So yeah, he's the Last Jedi. I liked the Last Jedi. I didn't like the Skywalkers, but no, yeah, in the Knives Out was the big movie that I think we all enjoyed. That's a great movie. Let's see. High frame rate is just stupid. I kind of agree with that. Well, I mean, it has its place. Hey, Rick, welcome back. If you want to see my work, check out my YouTube channel. All right, Wrenchmind. Cool. I have offended your high frame rate sensibilities, sir. Like I said, Steve Yedlin's got a good point. Just take the low frame rate and just interpolate it, and you can have whatever garbage you enjoy. That's how I'm going to answer all those questions from now on. It's like, yeah, just interpolate it. I don't care. Do whatever you want to do. Doesn't matter. I just prefer my footage to look good. That's all. Movie should be shot on film 24 frames per second, period. Oh, so I never answered the film question. I love film, like celluloid film, but I've never shot a lick of motion picture film. Not a second of it. I have my entire life been a digital person. I have been a video all the way from the very beginning. That's just me. That's where I came from. I was born in video. So I am a video, but I am starting to shoot a lot more film. I shot a lot more like stills film, and I really enjoy it. Although it feels like right now I've got this canister of exposed color film, and I'm just like terrified of developing it, because I've never developed color film before. I've never done the color. I've done black and white. I'm comfortable now doing black and white, but I've never done color, so I'm kind of terrified. Although there's nothing terribly important on that roll of film. I just shot it to test stuff. But yeah, I've never shot motion picture film. But then I bought myself the Canon R5DS, and just because I wanted a digital high megapixel camera, because there's jobs where you don't want to shoot film for this job. You want to shoot digital, especially nowadays, man. Like, can you imagine people that shoot weddings that shoot film? I mean, there are some people that still shoot film for weddings. They're very niche, but like most wedding photographers are digital, and they'll pump out like 1,000 shots, put them in, edit them real quick and edit in Lightroom and give them to the bride and all that. But anyhow, there's still a place for film. as far as like actual filming for, look, I'm not the biggest environmentalist. The environmental angle doesn't really bother me. It is what it is. You know, there's ways, let's not maybe dump it into a river, dump the chemicals directly into the river. Maybe there's ways we can try to recover some of those materials. But yeah, I wouldn't stop film, because it's such a niche thing anyway. I wouldn't stop it for environmental reasons. Tech Quink says it should be 18 FPS. 24 is too much. I know. I'm glad you agree with me that 24 is so smooth that we shouldn't be doing that. We should be doing 18, because 24 is, so smooth. I love that. I've been working with film emulation with my GH5 for the last year. It says Veritimo. GH5 film emulation, and it's a really nice film look with digital acquisition. Yeah, absolutely. I think digital, there's so much you can do with digital. That's why I love digitals, because you can, first of all, you have the instant response, so you know exactly what the heck you're shooting, but then digital is so flexible, so that you can change, like it used to be with film stock, you were stuck with that film stock. But with digital, you can do whatever film stock you want, you can make whatever look. It's not quite the same. I get it. But I think I was having this conversation on Facebook too. It's like, I don't watch movies. My attention span for the details, the technical details of a movie, are about 2 minutes. Like, I'll watch a movie and like, oh, that's a really nice image. That's a really nice image. Then I stop caring about the image. It's like a hot tub. You get in a jacuzzi and it's like, ooh, this is hot. Oh, okay. It's normal. So, like, to me, all that stuff, like, vanishes away. And then what are you left with in a movie? The story, the acting, the story and the performance. Let's put those story, performance. That's ultimately what matters. The craft, nice, good. Support, story, performance. That's it. Hey, Rick, thanks for the super chat. I'm far more interesting than you are. The best camera is the one in your hand. Tell that story. Amen, brother. Yeah, my friend Bill was posting this thing on I guess it was F-Stoppers, talking about how, like, we're going to regret the fact that you're taking all the precious life's memories on your cell phone. You're taking pictures of those precious moments you have on your cell phone. We're going to regret that, because you should be shooting that. You should at least use a DSLR, because you're not going to get, the sensor on these is so small, but the DSLR's got a big sensor, and that's the way you should be capturing your memories. And I thought, are you, pardon my French, fucking kidding me? Like, what a ridiculous notion that a small sensor phone that you can pull out, at your kid's whatever party, your kid's just doing a funny little dance, and you're like, take a picture of it, versus I'm going to go grab my DSLR, okay, you got it. Oh, that's what I want. I'm going to do a rant on that, probably in 2021. I have a rant somewhere in my head against this concept of future-proofing. I hate the idea of future-proofing. I think it's the most, pardon the French again, I know this is, I already told you this is not made for kids. And I haven't sworn in the first 5 minutes, so now we can swear, right? It is the most stupid bullshit idea, future-proofing. It is created by camera manufacturers to sell corporations the highest level technology, which they won't even use. Future-proofing. What a bullshit term. And it came about during the standard definition to high definition transfer, because everyone was shooting standard definition, and you invested a lot of money in equipment in standard definition. And then HD was happening, and it's like, well, it's happening within 1 or 2 years. So maybe you need to jump on board and buy the first generation HD cameras, because whatever you shoot now will be ready when an HD is ready. And that kind of made sense during that very brief transition window. But now we got people out there saying, buy that Blackmagic 12K camera because you're future-proofing your... No, you're not. That's fucking bullshit. That is complete and utter bullshit. You don't future-proof your footage by shooting this ridiculous whatever. It doesn't future-proof at all. There's only one way to future-proof your product. And you know what that is? Make something that in the future you'll actually want to have. That's the only way. Future-proof anything. Like, do we throw away I Love Lucy episodes? Well, they were shot in film. Okay, we'll put that one aside. Do we throw away Masters? Because I was watching METV here in Southern California, which shows a bunch of like old reruns. I was watching Dick Van Dyke's show, and it wasn't shot on film. It looked like it was shot in studio, and it was like a really high quality 60i master because it looked so clean, and the motion was really, really smooth. So you know it was a really good master. Do we throw that away because it was shot at 480i? No, we keep it because it's valuable. So this whole concept of future-proofing, now I want to pare that back and say, yes, you should always try to shoot the best quality you can to preserve in the long. But everything's a trade-off. Everything's going to be a trade-off. There's going to be, you can't. You don't need to shoot 12K to future-proof something. You can shoot 1080 and be future-proof if in the future what you shot is worth something. There's no point in shooting 12K if it's just garbage footage. It's going to be sitting on a hard drive somewhere. Sorry, Rick, you have gotten me on that thing. You have gotten me going. And I need to calm down. It's okay. It's okay, man. It's okay. Oh, Patrick Kang says, I think your bandwidth changes live stream. I'm not sure what's going on. Am I it looks like I'm like jittery. I think I am because there's something going on. I don't know. The 20, because it's shooting out 24, but it's going to 30, so whatever. Yeah, stats for super cartoony. Yeah, my video says it's saying 30, but like my camera says 24. My A10 Mini 8 Pro is, or no, I'm not using the Pro. I'm using the regular one. A10 Mini is 24, and my vMix is spitting out 24. So maybe the stream is sending out the stream in 30. Whatever, it doesn't matter. Hey, Donnie. Hey, I haven't seen you in a while. Don, happy Festivus for the rest of us. Hope everyone's merry. I've never been a big Seinfeld fan, but I need to go back and watch. I love Curb, so I need to go see some more Seinfeld. Prince Westerberg. I agree with analog, but digital needs to be higher bit depth, so around 2010 at the earliest. Yeah. Langaston Rex. Breathe. It's okay. It's not all. Future proofing is not going to end the world. Not going to end the world, so baby. Mike Zarnov says, you look so cinematic. I have a video I want to produce. Again, it's Christmas Eve, and I just don't give a shit anymore. But I want to create a video called Always. I'll give you guys on the stream, all you 50 guys that are watching here, and ladies, if there are any ladies. I know I'm the king of sausage parties, guys. That's just my life, dude. If you hang out with me, know that there are no women going to be showing up at all. Zero. It's that bad. Anyhow, I want to do a video, so a little preview called "Always Shoot the Fill Side," which is something that I've kind of noticed, and I think I'm not the only person that noticed this, but I've kind of get the feeling that that when people talk about the 3-point lighting setup, they talk about the key, the fill, and the backlighting. They also don't bring it up, but you should always put the fill side of the face toward the camera. Not always is an artistic rule, which means default to that, and if you got a good reason to avoid it or do the opposite, do it. It's you're not going to go to jail for breaking this rule, right? So if you show the fill side, and that's what I'm doing right now, the key light is actually over there, but my face, the fill side, which is nothing, I have nothing to fill, but my fill side's facing the camera, and that's to me is like a way to cheat. If you think I'm lying, check out every single Talking Head documentary. Like, just sit there, like HBO Films. I really love that. What's that one with that lady with the scam, the biotech scam? That was such a great documentary. Theranos. He snapped his fingers, right, and half the value of the company disappeared. No, Theranos. But if you look at the lighting on every single Talking Head, fill sides to the camera. Always. always. Now the only exception is when like you're watching the news. If you're watching like a Talking Heads news, it's just flat lighting, so they don't have any shaping of the color of the face. I'm holding a cornet right now, so that's what I'm doing. Oh, what the heck are we talking about? Hi, Paul Paul Jonak from Germany. I'm John Hess, also from Hess. No, my dad's side is German, probably from probably the early 1800s or early 1900s, I think. I don't think I was part of the Hessians that came and tried to defeat the colonists at the beginning. Veritimo says good camera for beginners is also the Blackmagic Pocket camera if you don't have much money. Or IR, yeah, again, IR filter. Yeah, those early Blackmagics were really bad on infrared. So what happens with the infrared if you don't have an IR cut is that all the blacks start bleeding red. I know that sounds nasty, right? That sounds like it's requires some sort of sanitary napkin, but no, the blacks get polluted with basically heat, and it makes your blacks look kind of muddy and brown, and it's not good. Robert's main Senegal. I will play a Christmas song on our way out. I played at the very beginning. I played Rudolph, but I will play you one more before we leave tonight. So it'll be coming back out. All right. Vazio says, I bought a 1974 Bell & Howell 8mm camera and liked it at first until I had spent $40, $50 for the first 3 minutes of film, and you have to use the film wisely. Exactly. Which is kind of why I like shooting 35mm stills film, because I know I only have 24 or 36 exposures, and I can't be just sitting there like shooting 8 shots of the same damn angle, which is a bad habit when you're shooting on digital. And because I shot film, I trained myself out of that habit when shooting digital. Like you see photographers do this, so they'll go up to a shot and they'll go tick, 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 right? Now I get it. If you're shooting news, if you're shooting like sports action, you want to do that because one of those you might get like a half blink and or a weird funky thing. So when you're doing like action, yeah, you want to do that. But like if you're shooting walkabout photos, just going around shooting stuff, you shouldn't be doing that. You should wait for the shot, click, and then you're done. Wait for another shot, click. You shouldn't be like rapid firing, unless of course there's a purpose for it. But I hate not that, and it's not really for me. It's again, I get why people would do that, but for me, it's like a discipline thing. So if I'm doing that, I'm not thinking about the shots. I'm not thinking about composition. I'm not looking at everything in the frame. But when I'm taking my time and I'm looking at the frame and click, that's to me like more discipline, and I feel better about that. So anyhow. What were you saying? Do you do Rocking Around the Christmas Tree solo? That Rocking Around the Christmas Tree doesn't sound so good on trumpet. It's a little too like da 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 da. Well, I'll do Christmas song at the end because that's sad and making me. Oh, YouTube is deleting my spaces at the end. Oh well, YouTube, maybe you didn't fact check those. I'm just kidding. Prince Westerberg says, I knew a woman who got to use a 35mm Panavision Heaven. Oh, Panavision Heaven. No, she said she got a calculator and realized she had 2 takes of. She got a calculator and realized she only had 2 takes of each shot. Yeah. Well, that is the reality of film. But then again, and. There's a quote out there somewhere said that the enemy of art is not having any restrictions. I want to say Orson Welles said that. I don't think it's Orson Welles. But, if you don't have any restrictions, then you don't make art. And that kind of hit me truthfully, because I feel like I don't have any technical limitations. I have gear and I have all that stuff. And what do I do with it? Nothing. I sit here and do nothing. I talk on the internet. Well, that's something, right? I don't want to be down, man. I don't want to be too down. I just wish I got more films made, man. I wish I could put out more content and more stuff. I just really, it comes that we're part of that time of year where we're making resolutions. In 2021, I would love to just put out more videos. and even make some films once this pandemic is over. So I wrote on Facebook, I said, I can't wait for things to get back to normal so I can go back to my regular bullshit reasons why I can't make a film. Patrick King says, hate to ask what camera I'm using. I'm using an XC15 hooked up to a Blackmagic ATEM Mini, the original one, going into a vMix and streaming it from vMix. So somewhere along the line, the frame rate's getting jacked. Somewhere in there. Speaking of Christmas, I was featuring David West. Oh, Virtual Choir 9, cool. Which is YouTube search. Cool, awesome. Donnie, we're going to release it tonight for a local private school. I did a virtual choir with 2 songs. I did 24 voices and I did 55 voices. And I think I talked about it last time, but it's like, it's tricky. It's tricky, man, to edit those things. It's a lot of work. You need a lot of planning too. Kingsley Randall looking for a personal mentor for filmmaking. Well, I don't know, if you want to follow me, just ask me questions. I'll help you out. But other than that, just you gotta find your own way. I've interviewed people, a couple people through my show. I was trying to do an interview show, but no one watches it, so it's like, what? I don't know. A lot of effort for not a lot of payback. But one thing I think you'll find with filmmaking is everybody has a different story of how they got where they are. There is no, like, I was a business major, and when you're a business major, like, the job track to becoming an accountant is very, very predictable. You go to a business school, you do the accounting route, you go take the accounting test, you work for a big 5 accounting firm. Now, probably big 4 now, because those accounting firms are all scam artists. There's a lot, like one of them died, I think, right? So it's a very predictable job track, But filmmaking, everyone gets, what? James Cameron was a truck driver. Tarantino worked as a video store clerk. Christopher Nolan did corporate video. Everybody's got a totally different way of getting where they ended up. So anyhow, hey, thank you, Morocco. Howdy to Morocco. I'd love to go to Morocco. That seems like a unique, interesting. Bring my film camera. So I think there's a lot of cool filming opportunities in Morocco. Hey, isn't that where Star Wars was shot too, right? Veratima says you shouldn't be so critical of what you're doing if you're having problems with making stuff. It's always better just to be making stuff. I know. Some of you guys look up to me and think like, I've made stuff, but I also think like in many ways I'm just kind of like, well, I've failed. I've tried to create. Look, so I'll tell you a story. So why not? I'll tell you guys all the story. How I started filmmaking was when I was a kid. My dad had a video camera, and I got played with a video camera. I hooked up VCRs together, and I discovered editing. Hey, you can put these 2 shots together. That's kind of cool, editing, right? And in high school, I started doing these little videos for my video class, these movie parodies, and I got a big head. I thought, well, I'm 18 years old, because every 18-year-old does this, and I spent some time as a substitute teacher. So I read what you 18-year-olds write. I know, you guys have a big effing head, all right? 18 years old, I'm thinking, I'm going to make a feature film. I'm going to make a feature film. I wrote this feature film out, and I tried to cast it with my friends that were in high school. Don't cast high school friends, dude. Because it's like, oh, you're supposed to be in my movie. You can't be in my movie. Why? Because you're grounded? Oh, God. You can't come. You can't. I've scheduled this shoot date for us to shoot, and you can't make it because your dad wants you to wash the car. So I got about. I'm not even sure I shot anything for that feature film before I just completely gave up. And it was so bad. If it was so bad, oh, thank you, Super Cartoon. You guys have cash to throw super chats. Look, I'm not gonna. I appreciate the super chats, man. I really do. But you don't have to do that, guys. I mean, I'm monetizing this video. Anyhow, back to the story. That failure when I tried to make my first feature film was so bad. I put the camera away for 2 years or a year and a half. I'm like, fuck this. I couldn't do it. I could not make a feature film. I'm not good enough. I give up. And I said, well, I'm going to go back to, my original plan was to go to business school. I'm going to go be a businessman. The way I want. It's not my dad. My parents didn't really want me to be a business. They didn't push me into business. I wanted to be international businessman John Hess. How you doing? Right. So I failed. I failed so bad when I was 18 years old that I gave it up. So I went about a year and then started get the camera out. Yeah, let's do a couple little fun things. Why not? Whatever. And I started kind of thinking, man, I really enjoy this. I really enjoy motion picture making. I wonder if I can mix it with business, because I love business too. So I decided, advertising. I want to be Don Draper before Don Draper exists, obviously. So that's how I kind of came back to it. But I don't know what my point was all this. Other than the fact that I just wanted to share with you one of the most heartbreaking things of my filmmaking career. Oh yeah, talking about how I shouldn't be so hard on myself, because somebody's here. I'll be right back. Hello.
Yeah, I got a
Package. All right, awesome.
Here you go.
Thank you so much.
Have a good one.
Thank you. Santa came. That's who it was. It was Santa Claus. Santa came. Santa in the form of Jeff Bezos' Amazon. Let's see what I got. Oh, we're going to live unboxing. Here we go, guys. Here we go. Live unboxing of shit that I bought that I don't remember exactly what I bought because my head's not really in it right now because I'm on stream. Unboxing video. Here we go. Christmas time. It's Christmas unboxing. What did John buy himself this time? Alrighty. I bought myself. Ooh. Oh, you guys won't believe this, dude. You guys won't believe this. This is amazing. I bought myself snow chains. Yeah, you saw that coming, right? Surprise! I got myself some snow chains. Now you're probably asking, you live in Southern California, why the F are you buying snow chains? But here's what I really wanted, actually, was my box of USB-A heads. I know, you guys are so, wasn't that the most exciting thing you saw on YouTube today, was John opening a box, of snow chains? Yeah, it's amazing, right? Filmmaker IQ just got himself some snow chains. Good for him. Alright. Yes, this is what I was waiting for, actually. That's why I didn't go home yet. I bought myself some USB heads because my rabbits at home, I have rabbits, and I have a USB pedals for Flight Simulator, and the rabbits, every time they see a cable, it reminds them of a vine, and I think, what is that? What would that vine taste like? And those little buggers' teeth are fucking razor sharp, dude. I was playing with my bunny the other day, and I had a Coke, not Coke, fast foods, plastic straw. You ever chewing on a plastic straw? You can't chew through them, right? Humans can't. Rabbits can. I put it up with my bunny, and the rabbit's like, "What is this?" He bites it and rips it in half. I'm like, "Whoa!" Anyhow, the reason why I got snow chains is because I don't own any snow chains, and I enjoy snowy weather. I really do. Although I wouldn't actually want to live somewhere with snowy weather. My dad, I love my concurrent viewers dipped way down when I did that boxing. Oh, I think my streams are way down. Holy moly, Charles Hoffman, you are way too kind, dude. That's a massive super chat there, buddy. Thanks, man. Well, now I feel like I have to give you something, like a song and dance or something. Thank you so much, dude. But anyhow, yeah, snow chain. So I got a short trip planned to Idlewild in early January, sometime in early January. Hopefully, with my mom's health, I can take her up there. got an Airbnb, so in Idlewild, and I'm just worried that if I go up there without snow chains, I might get stuck. So, yep, here they are, man. Snow chains. I've never once put on snow chains in my life. So this is a totally new experience for me. Let's see here. Unbox something great. The new theme. Why not? Go out there, unbox something great. No thanks needed. Charles Hopkins, no thanks needed, except you use it as I asked. Make something great. All right, well, you know what? We're going to put that toward, I got another idea for a cool video that I want to do. I'm trying to get this damn thing open. I should probably struggle on, it's just tape here. There we go. All right. So, I have an idea for a cool video. I have like 3 ideas for videos I want to do in the next new year. Yeah, these are the kind, exactly what I thought they would be. Not sure what I expected. But yeah, these, I mean, I bought them, that's why I know what they look like. So yeah, this is the snow chain style that I got. So anyhow, one of the ideas I wanted to do was a video about how, like, one of the weird arguments I get with people online, and I get in a lot of arguments with people online because that's who I am. I'm a internet citizen who likes to go online and yell at people. No, just kidding, not yell, but argue with people sometimes. There are certain like cinch points that people, especially when it comes to filmmaking, photography, that are ripe for argument, despite the fact that there should be no argument. Like, that's the funny thing. Like, I hate arguing politics because politics is never really a right answer. It's a moralistic thing. It's always confusing. But camera technology, camera science, there's the truth, and then there's people who will argue with you about stuff that's not true. And so to me, that's always fun because if you know the truth, you can pounce on the people that don't know what they're talking about. So one of the things that always gets me is that some people think that you can shoot a shutter speed that is longer than the frame rate. So if you're shooting 24 frames a second, you think, you can shoot, or better example, if you're shooting 60 frames a second, you can say, well, I can just set it to 1/48 of a second and match the shutter speed of 24. Like, no, you can't, because 1/48 of a second is longer than a 60th of a second, which is the maximum amount of time you can shoot if you're shooting 60 frames a second, right? And the weirdest thing is I have gotten into long arguments over that very fact, right? And and part of the reason is because some cameras out there allow you to shoot 1/48 of a second at 60 frames a second. How do they do it? They basically double up the frame. So you're no longer shooting 60 frames a second. You're really shooting 30 frames a second. You're just doubling the frames, right? So I want to do a video on that, but then I wanted to go to the next step. What if you could shoot a longer shutter speed than your frame rate? And this is not necessarily like some amazing, like, right, that meme, right? But what would it look like if you could shoot a longer frame rate, a longer shutter speed? And and I'll show you how to do it. And it's actually kind of cool. And it's a very simple. I mean, what you could do in After Effects. I'm going to show you the most. I'll show you the most understanding way of doing it. Is you take a motion picture frame, and then you would basically add in, like, take the next frame, add it on top of that first frame. Next frame, add it to that frame. You shoot 360 degrees. You shoot, if you're shooting 24 frames a second, shoot 1/24 of a second, and you start adding frames together. You can get this long shutter drag. And then there is actually there are two default plugins in After Effects. One called Echo, and the other one called Pixel Blur or something like that. One of those two. And those two can actually create that effect. But I have a buddy of mine that First, I was thinking like a dancer with some glow sticks, but my buddy of mine does some fire stuff, like fire sticks. It'd be kind of cool to shoot that in slow motion and then do the long shutter drag on that. So it's kind of like, yeah, kind of like slit scan, Charles. I actually use a shutter speed longer than the frame rate when I simulate shooting slit scan. Yeah, exactly. So I mean, that's what I wanted to do. Like, what would it look like if you could shoot a shutter speed longer than your frame rate? And I think that'd be kind of cool video. And I think it's a be a cool just a visually cool, interesting video. So I want to do that. We'll put that money toward that. How's that? Love to see all your episodes about all about lens filters. Oh yeah, that'd be kind of cool. Just trying to think of all the ones we can do. We can ND filters. There's like the soft filters. Here's the thing for you, chat guys. What do you guys think about UV filters? Are you a big fan of putting UV filters on your lens? I'll let you guys answer that, and I'll give you my opinion in a few minutes here. Maurice Barrett, how did you become so knowledgeable when it comes to filmmaking and camera technique? The way you deliver information is really great. I sit and think about this way too much, and I have no friends. That's how you do it. When you don't have a girlfriend, you don't have any to talk to. You just sit around and think, how can I think about film? How can I think about cameras? That's literally like how I did it. It's not mystery. I'm 38 years old. I'm not a spring chicken. I've been doing filmmaking since I was 21. So 17 years now I've been doing this. And let me tell you, when I was 21, I am nowhere near the understanding of how this worked compared to 5 years ago. Nowhere close. I was stupid AF. All right. Like remember how many old timers on here remember 35 millimeter adapters for small cameras? I didn't even understand how that worked or why that worked. So it took me like many years after using DSLRs before I understood focal length and I understood all that stuff. It took a long time to get there. So folks are saying always use a UV on my camera, never use filters, more for lens protection. Patrick King says I use UV filters, then shoot out the window of a car to prevent any debris hitting the lens. Prince Westerberg says I use UV filters by default to protect the lens, but an old single coated glass, you'll need them to stop excessive light scatter. And let's see. So there's a couple of opinions on that. My opinion on UV filters is I don't use them at all. I do not like them. Because to me, there's just one extra piece of glass to get in the way, and to me, like the actual safety. Now, if I was shooting something where like I knew stuff was going to be flying at the lens, I might use a UV filter. I might put something in front of the glass. But to me, the safety stuff. I mean, the glass on a lens is very, very resilient. Very resilient. Problem with me with UV filters to me is like they're just another magnet for dust, and I'd rather be cleaning the lens itself and then less worried about the actual filter itself. So that's my opinion. Now, also would highly recommend that you guys use, if you're really worried about protecting your lens, use a lens hood, because the hood will protect it. If you happen to drop the lens and it hits the hood will eat the impact, and the hood's like $3. It's not that bad. So anyhow. So yeah, I'm hooking people up in the stream here. Super Cartoonist and Prince Westerberg, get together, make something great. So, but anyhow, I'm not, and I don't disparage anybody for using a UV filter. It's just my experience has not been good with them. I do not like them. Yeah, glass is tough, coatings are not. Well, that's a good point. That's a good point. But to me, the UV filter is just not. It doesn't add anything, and I don't feel like it actually protects anything either. But circular polarizer, that's a different story. Circular polarizer actually does something. So if you put that on front of your lens, that's actually useful. Yeah, I use the UV filter so I don't have to clean the lens glass itself. I'd rather clean the lens. We're here for my 2 cents. Well, whatever. Thanos Nicopolis 23.976 versus 24 straight FPS. Any benefits? Maybe sound. I don't think I talked about this yet, have I? I think I did some videos on why 239676 is still important. If you're shooting if you're shooting in Europe, 24. If you're shooting in America, 23.976. Do not shoot 24 in the United States. Do not shoot straight 24. It is a PAL system. 23976 is the preference in the United States. Is there any benefit for either one? Absolutely none. The reason why you do that is because you want to play nice with the NTSC system. And if you shoot 24, you got to do a little something in order to get to play nice on NTSC. Not that it can't be done, because it's done all the time. And in fact, I believe one of the studios, I want to say it's Paramount. I'm not sure. One of the studios has switched over to 24. But the other thing too, whether to shoot 23.976 or 24 is also depends on what the sound department is doing. So make sure if you are shooting one or the other, make sure everybody is shooting that, because the sound department will shoot 24 and you're shooting 23, and then like when you go to sync them, they'll start to drift. So make sure they're both on the exact same. But as far as like quality or whatever, there's absolutely zero difference in terms of benefits. It's just except for the fact that 23.976 plays nice with NTSC. All right, what else? Chat is moving. Yeah, keep in contacts. Patrick King says UV degrades the quality, especially in backlit situations. Yeah, you possibly adds like another layer of reflection, so you do get weird flares. Fred Northrop says, yeah, I thought PAL was 25. Yes, PAL is 25, but if you're in Europe and you shoot, there's no reason if you're in Europe and you're shooting PAL, there's no reason to shoot 23.976 because you don't need that extra, 0.01 or 0.1% slowdown. So you would shoot 24 in PAL countries, but you would never shoot 23.976. But in America and in NTSC systems, you would shoot that because it fits perfectly with 60i. Oh, there you go. Question: what's the advantage of having XLR inputs on your camera body like C200? It means you have a robust connection into your camera. Like if you don't have an XLR connector to your camera body, I mean, it's almost like don't bother, don't try to record sound on your camera if you don't have XLR inputs. XLRs are like literally the lifeblood of all audio. There are obviously other audio connectors, but XLRs are like the standard thing. So do I know who Dove Simons is? He teaches filmmaking controversial dudes, supposedly. I do not know who he is. Mindo says, rando question, can you still spot the difference between film shot on film and digital? No, I cannot. I mean, it also depends. I mean, you can tell certain characteristics, like if I showed you a 1970s film and a film shot on digital, yeah, you could probably tell a difference. But like, I think today, yeah, I would just say the film might be a little bit softer looking, actually. Like digital is a very, very sharp, very, very clean image. But then again, you can make digital look like film, so you know what it is. Chris Rosen cares why we use multiples of hex and instead of decimals. I mean, why does FPS like 24, 25, 30, and 60 when there's 100 milliseconds per second? Good question. But the thing is, why are there 100 milliseconds per second? Why are there 100 milliseconds? Why are we a base 10 society? The Babylonians were base 12, right, or base 6. We have 60 minutes per hour, so why not 60 milliseconds? Because I think the decimals are just easier to work with. So there's not any real reason, why. I mean, obviously with 60 hertz and 100 hertz has to do with the power line power line frequency. So why was the power line at 60 hertz? That's the reason why we have frame rate at 60. Also because keep in mind too that I'll show that comment. Also remember that the actual, it's called critical flicker fusion in the eye is around 450-ish. So you've got to be above that in order to see a solid image. So that's another reason. Patrick King on debate between A7S3 versus C70, but A7S3 doesn't have XLR input. Would that be a deal breaker? I think it would be. And also the thing with the A7S III, it doesn't have internal ND filters. Those two, to me, like, internal ND filters are, to me, the deal breaker when it comes to cameras. If you don't have that, where you can't add it to it, then there's no point. The camera is not a professional level camera. I'm sorry, it's not. It's the A7 IIIS or A7S III is a photo camera. It is not a video. It is not a cinema camera or video motion picture camera. C70 is primarily a motion picture camera, and that's why it has internal ND filters. So, what is the most demanding shoot you had? It was actually, I talked about it last time. It was the shoot I did for the version of the fake blood video that you see on my channel, or the version that you will not see on my channel, is 14 hours sitting in fake blood, and hot as hell. And then at the end we didn't even bother making it. Didn't even bother adding it into the video. Yeah, Babylonians are space 60s. That's why I have 60 minutes per hour. Yeah, exactly. 60 hours, 60 minutes per hour. The one thing is, why don't we have 60 hours per day? I guess it worked out to 24. 24 is a common factor with 60. Hey, 24 frames per second. Why do you, oh boy, more high frame rate question. What do you think about making high frame rate stop motion? I think that's kind of weird. No feeling of animation. Yeah, I agree. Come on. Like, does anyone who wants high frame rate animation, stop motion animation, actually know how stop motion animation works? I mean, really? Do you really? Anyhow. I mean, I think most people actually, when they look at stop motion animation, they actually prefer it to be lower, like 12 frames a second. You want that little bit of, because otherwise it doesn't have, you want that little jankiness to it. Like, that's why Lego Movie did that. They gave a little bit of, little, I guess I would equate it to like peanut butter, a little bit of crunchiness in the peanut butter. Rather than super smooth, it's a little bit something to grab onto. And that's what makes it cool. Anyhow. Prince, I'm going to show you that comment. YouTube's trying to hide it, but I'll show it to you. I'll show it. If you made an animated film at 60 FPS, you'd be more than doubling your workload for not much more visual pizzazz, and probably less visual pizzazz. Yeah, exactly. Like if you watch that documentary about the making of Nightmare Before Elm Street, Nightmare Before Christmas, right? These guys that are like, they have a shot. They need to produce basically like 2 minutes or a minute of footage. Not even a minute. No, like 15 seconds of footage a day. That anime gets to work. It's like, okay, here's your shot. You got like 5 seconds to create, and they were shooting 24. They were making 24 frames a second stop animation. So 5 seconds. What is that? 125 frames or so, right? And he's got to, come on. You're telling me you want to change that 5 seconds to now 300 frames? No. Prince, oh, you guys have the same. I wonder why Ang shot a high FPS for his Fast 2 movies. Okay. Ang Lee is a true believer. I think he really, 2 reasons. I think he really believes that high frame rate, he likes high frame rate. I think he really does. However, those are those last 2 movies that Ang Lee directed on the same caliber of a movie like Life of Pi? Nowhere near the level, right? I think Ang Lee's really missing the boat. Now, okay, I'm going to get a little bit more conspiracy theory. Who funded Gemini Man? Like, what was the studio behind it? Not the big studio, which is Paramount, but who's the production studio? Alibaba Films. Like, what is Alibaba known for? Chinese electronics. Chinese manufacturing. Now, I realize they're not exactly the same company, but they're pretty close. So what was Gemini made? What was Gemini Man made? What was the real reason Gemini Man was made? It was to sell, in my opinion only, my conspiracy opinion here, it was to sell TVs. Because those the TVs wanted a high frame rate cinematic movie to show the amazingness of the high frame rate of the TV. That's the reason why I believe Gemini Man was made in that way. It wasn't because they had a burning desire to make a movie about Will Smith. It was because they wanted to sell some TVs. That's my conspiracy. Chris Rosenstein, China. Yeah, Crouching Tiger. Like Crouching Tiger was not the same film. It had a lot more passion in it than like Gemini Man. Anyhow. Donnie, I didn't even see your comment, so don't worry about it. It's going by too fast. Even if you were black, I wouldn't mind talking to you. Oh my gosh. What the heck? Are we getting a little bit, you're getting ready to be canceled there, man. Aang likes using super bleeding edge technology. I think that's right. And so does James Cameron. But James Cameron has walked back his ideas about high frame rate. I love it when people argue with me about high frame rate. Well, look at James Cameron's going to do it. Yeah, sure. You keep thinking that. What do you think of the Komodo? Are they much camera? I have no thoughts on the red Komodo. The red ecosystem is just something that is not part of my life. For better or for worse, I don't know. I mean, maybe I've been kind of burned previously by people and their snootiness with regards to red that I just kind of avoided them altogether. And I'm sort of the same way with Apple. I'm working on PCs. I own a few iPads. They're nice. I don't own an iPhone. I'm an Android dude. But there's a snootiness about Apple that has turned me off from their products, from ever taking their products seriously. So that's my thoughts. Tristan says, I remember watching The Hobbit in HFR theater. It seemed like a badly calibrated TV. Yeah, and people keep saying, one of the things I want to talk about in my video, where I got another idea for a frame rate video about black frame insertion when it comes to modern TVs, and how that's kind of what we need in order to watch really good 24 FPS content on like an OLED screen. But I love how people always say how HFR is going to take over, and the Hobbit came out 8 years ago, and I believe Devin Faraci of Life Death Movies said, watch out, this is the way all future movies are going to be seen. 8 years ago. I wonder when that's going to happen. When is that switch over to high frame rate going to happen? Because it hasn't happened in 8 years. And we've had a lot of big, expensive movies come out, too. Like Marvel movies and Star Wars. Like, they have all this money to spend on high frame rate. I wonder when it's going to happen. It's not going to happen, dude. Stop making it think it's going to happen. Yeah, Charles Hoffman. I vaguely remember one of the points you made in favor of not using HFR is reveals the artifice of filmmaking too much. Right, like, it's so real that you realize you're on set with actors in a set. That's how real it is. Well, then that just means they need to be better actors and you have better looking sets. So, okay, so how's this? When you do your homework assignment, instead of turning in 5 pages, I want you to turn in 25 pages. Well, that's not fair. No, it just means you have to work harder. That's all it means. If you want that A, you have to work harder. I will never get tired of arguing with young people. Because the logic it's so basic and it's there. But being able to see over it is so difficult. Anyhow. HFR feels like when someone explains something in too much detail. Yeah, like my anamorphic video, like most of my videos. It's just way too much, John. 40 minutes explaining HFR myths. Are you effing insane? No one's gonna watch that crap. No one did. That's okay. I appreciate that video. Arri is a beautiful camera. Red is made by tech nerds. I would love to shoot an Arri. If you want me to if you want to give me one. I'm a Canon dude now. Sony, it's kind of like the same dynamic between Canon is more of a beautiful camera, and Sony is made by tech nerds. And I loved Sony for a long time. I still love Sony. They're if you want like accuracy and you want just quality stuff, Sony has always been, to me, at least to me, a very, very reliable brand in that respect. Oh gosh, what about shutter speed? Does the 1/2 shutter speed still apply? I guess not. I stick to 1/50 second to avoid stutter problems. Use it for 50 FPS as well. Yes and no. Like the 1/2 shutter speed always kind of applies. Like you can always, if you wanted smooth motion in 24, you can always shoot it at 1/24th of a second and 3/60th, 360 degree shutter. This discussion about shutter speed, people act as if they just discovered the secret. Like, oh, it's not frame rate, it's shutter speed. It's both. It's the same. It's always been the same. So yeah, if you have really high frame rate and you shoot a global shutter, it's going to be looking really smooth. Well, same idea. If you shoot a 24 frames a second with global shutter with 360 degrees, it will also look smooth. So, it's they're interrelated. You can't have one without the other. Netflix partner help doesn't dictate frame rate, just bit rate. Yep. Yeah, I mean Netflix, because why would they dictate frame rate? They don't need to dictate frame rate. You shoot what you shoot. So I mean Netflix, like, because I was showing the example of Twilight Zone. Twilight Zone is shot at 24 frames a second. You didn't know that. Twilight Zone, the TV show, is 24 frames a second, except for like 6 episodes, which were shot at 60 frames, 60 frames a second, or dumped down to 30. And if you watch on Netflix, you actually see those particular episodes are shown at 30 frames a second. And the other episodes, the other Twilight Zone classics, are shown at 24. Yeah. Yeah, canon twice the N. As opposed to thrice the N. Canon. I love it. Oh, Arseny, what do you think about real-time rendering Unreal Engine 4 to 5? I am impressed by it. It still looks a little gamey. It looks like a little not quite photorealism. I honestly, I'm a little bit burned out by NVIDIA right now, dude. A little burned out by these guys. So I've been getting like people on my videos, like when I talk about ray tracing on my video about like ray tracing and rendering, and people are like, well, we're gonna make a video now that NVIDIA cracked the real-time ray tracing. Did they? Like, I think it's a lot of marketing hype. I think real-time ray tracing is still, I think we're still not there yet with real-time ray tracing. And then on top of the fact that you can't get a 3080 card, because my friend Joe's been freaking trying to get a 3080 card for like 2 months now. He hasn't been able to get a 3080 series. Come on, NVIDIA. And then the whole thing with that one channel that Linus Tech Tips was talking about, how they like bashed that one guy. Anyhow. Yeah. I agree. That's why frame rate varies from project to project. So you can have, and then you can play up plenty of content on Netflix that is not 24 frames a second, like TV shows that are not 24, like some TV shows that are not 24. Live stuff, reality TV. A lot of reality is also shot at 24. So there's no reason why Netflix would want to dictate exactly what frame rate you have. Ribshaw said the industry is being flooded by vloggers where everyone's a filmmaker. There was a time when you only fill people with cameras. So what happened to what happens to the competition? Competition, I guess. Vloggers, yeah, it is. It's true. It's true. The industry is being flooded by whatever, but it's always being flooded by whatever, right? There's always a new generation coming in. Those sound people, the people who can sing and talk. Yeah. Super Cartoonist, why do a lot of people make bad transfers of old recordings and upload them onto YouTube? Because they don't know any better. I mean, they don't have the gear, they don't have the knowledge, so they just copy and put it on YouTube. So many people speak English, so few are poets. Yep. Rick H at about 15 FPS ray tracing. Yeah. Oh, okay. Arseny Smith says, what digital foundry video on RTX and Metro Exodus it will watch it. Yeah, sure. Yeah, is that one the one thing that see, the thing is, like, yeah, I mean, like, a demo is going to look good, right? You wouldn't demo a product if it didn't look good. The thing is, does the product look good? Is it useful when you're not being demoed? We in the filmmaking or video world, we call it vapor demoware. It's so useful when you demo it, but it absolutely has no value whatsoever. So the reason why I was kind of going, I mean, look, I'm not that much of a gamer. I play a few games, but Cyberpunk 2077, I watched Linus play it on his 8K TV, which was insane. But it was like, he turned on the ray tracing, and it's like, it looked worse. Like, it looked worse. It performed worse than not having ray tracing on. So I was like, ooh, what's the point of the ray tracing? So anyhow, in UK, if you shoot 24 FPS, all your HFR lights, HFR or HFR, all your LED lights flicker. Shooting 25 works fine. Yep, I agree with. No, yeah. So, well, you can shoot 24, but you have to shoot at a 1/25th of a second, or whatever, or make it 1/50th of a second shutter speed. And then you can kind of get away. I think. Well, can you? Yeah, I don't know. Probably not. Never mind me. You're probably right. Premiere makes weird lines on timeline with a cut tool with RTX cards. Yeah, make sure you update your drivers, and make sure you're completely up to date on your RTX drivers, because Premiere and NVIDIA have a little bit weird. Sometimes you'll get a bad driver and it'll just completely screw up Premiere for a while. So you have to, like, either go back or go forward as far as the driver. Oh, super cartoons. I mean, official streaming services do a bad job transferring from NTSC. That's ironic too, because I was watching Top Gear USA. And it was annoying because Top Gear USA's YouTube channel is a USA production, but they're streaming at 25 frames a second. I'm like, I know they shot probably 24, but it's 25. Mendo asks, what games do I play? I play Civilization. I'm a big Civ fan. I've been going back to Civ 2. I think I played the original Civ 1 on MS-DOS. And I'm a big Flight Simulator and Star Wars Squadrons right now. Although I haven't played that in a while because my rabbits chewed through my pedals cable. So I need to fix that pedals cable. Old school Medal of Honor. Amen, brother. That Storming the Beach Normandy campaign, the original Medal of Honor. Holy moly. I mean, that came out right about the same time as Saving Private Ryan. That was one of those things in your gaming youth that like shaped your view of life. Was experiencing the that, and also the game was not Medal of Honor, Call of Duty, where you had to run through and be a terrorist. That was tough. Yeah. Oh, William Walter says, I light with lightsabers. The kyber crystals make a constant light source with no flicker. They do hum though. That's the problem. So sounds like, I don't know. Can we knock off the can we knock that off? So they do make a lot of noise, those lightsabers. Arsene Munn says it's only in the second generation. Give it 5 years. Sweet, sweet color bleeding and global illumination is coming. Second generation. Oh, yeah, I agree. I mean, ray tracing is gonna. We're just not there yet. We're as much as we want to say, oh, look at how great ray tracing is. Because the fact of the matter is, the more rays you trace, the harder it gets. I mean, it's infinitely more and more. There's a law in computing, which I think is still. I don't think this will ever go away. It's called Blind's law. Like, you've heard of Moore's law, right? That transistors get double every 18 months, right? Blind's law says that no matter how fast your computer gets, no matter how fast your processors get, your render time will always stay constant. I love that, because that's not a technical, that's a reality of life. It's like death and taxes and render time. Render time will always stay constant. I love that. It's like, I sit there and I go, render time, 3 seconds per frame. Feels like a long time, but it's really not if you consider it. Oh, Call of Duty, did Spielberg direct that game? I think they just copied, I think they literally copied Saving Private Ryan. I think they literally pulled, they took Saving Private Ryan and just made it a video game. Because I don't think video games were not that, like, popular, were not so important that Spielberg would actually waste his time on video games, you know? Because we all know what happened with E.T., the video game, right? E.T., the video game. Have you guys ever watched the story about the guy that did the E.T. video game? How he was like, they brought him in and he was like so jazzed to see Spielberg, and he's like, I got all these great ideas how to make a video game out of it. And Spielberg's like, oh, you're the video game guy. Hey, can you make it like that other video game? He's like, yeah, okay, you gotta do that. And like, no one cared. And so he put all this effort into, because he had a very tight deadline, to like, he beat his hands on the keyboard to get that deadline, deliver that game by the deadline. And then everyone shits on the E.T. E.T. video game. It's the worst game ever made. That's a great story. If you ever look it up on YouTube. After we're done here, look it up on YouTube. Or hell, watch it now. I don't care. Make my numbers go down. Howard Scott Warshaw, is that the guy's name? I'm not sure. No matter how fast your computer gets, GTA 4 is still 20 frames per second on PC. GTA 4, okay, so story, like people get on my case, they're like, oh, you want 24 frames per second in video games? Like, no, I don't. Like, I remember GTA 4, like, struggling to get that game to play well on my computer. And it wasn't playing on the most fastest computer at the time. But anyhow, I'm like, well, you know, I like 24 frames a second. Let's try playing this game at 24 frames a second. So I played GTA 4 at 24 frames a second, and it sucked. So, no, I'm not for video gaming at 24 frames a second. Absolutely not. It's horrible. But yeah, 20 frames a second. Oh, is it true that Spielberg actually directed that Medal of Honor assault? Cool. All right. Well, I take back everything I said. He's in the credits. He's in the whole deal. Cool. All right. I have learned something there. I met a guy who was a render wrangler, says Prince Westerberg. He did some calculation for Jungle Book, and it was going to take 22 years to render. 22 years to render. All right. Well, I'll see you when my kid grows up and goes to college. Oh my god, 22 years to render. Super Cartoonist, when I was transferring NTSC, I made 3 versions of one recording. I made 23.976, 29.97, and Telscene, and 59.9, and Bob, EADDI, Bob on, and threw it all into files in Vegas. Okay, cool. I know we were having a discussion last time. I was getting a little perturbed with your complaining about the uneven, that's in the video. So Super Cartoonist and I were discussing about this, is that the whole 3-2 pull down thing, it's not an issue. I mean, it might be, but for me, for my generation that grew up on watching television, 3-2 pull down, not an issue at all. The real issue is sample and hold. Sample and hold is the problem that's facing basically modern displays, and it's a problem also for high frame rate content as well, like video games. If you look up screen-induced motion blurs, when you're trying to track an object as you know it's going across the screen, even in high frame rate, you see all the movements, right? So in order to get rid of that, what you have to do is, it's called sample and hold, because each frame is butted up to the next frame. So you're seeing all those little judders, right? And it's really bad with 24 frames a second because those judders happen much slower. So the solution to that is to eliminate the butting up of the frames, is to insert a frame of black in between every frame. Now, when you were watching it on a CRT television or in a cathode ray tube, you didn't have a sample and hold. You had, everything was a flicker. Even some of these older LCD monitors that have CFL backing, the CFL's flickering. So you have that little bit of flicker, which is why, ironically, I have a 144 hertz monitor on my other room, and I have a 60 hertz monitor, and 24 FPS motion looks better on the 60 hertz monitor than it does on the evenly divisible 144 hertz monitor. So anyhow, I will go into a video. I've been wanting to do a video on that for a year and a half, man. A year and a half. I still haven't gotten around to do it. Hey, Daniel Saldivar. I haven't seen you in a while in here. Oh, thank you, Mitchell TV. Watched my vids growing up. Oh my God, am I that old? What are you planning to play on a trumpet? Well, I'll play some Christmas music in a little bit. I already made a video on CRT at 1,000 frames per second. All right, cool. This what's it called? The slow-mo guys demonstrated that, where you actually see the scan. Is that what you saw in the CRT? You actually see the scanning gun, like go line by line. It's amazing if you watch that video how fast the phosphor actually decays. It's literally like what 0.2 milliseconds or something like that. Electron gun. That's what I meant. Yeah, the actual the beam. It's like by the time it reaches the end of the line, it's already faded out. Yeah, he did it before the slow-mo guys. Yeah, cool. But well, I mean, look, dude, it's a concept. You don't own it. But yeah, so that's why it's not, the issue is not really, the issue is not about. So the other reason why the issue is not about the uneven display of the frames is because I was trying to come up with the experiments of how to demonstrate visually, how can you visually tell, like if I showed you a series of triangles in 60 frames a second, I showed you 3 frames, 2 frames, 3 frames, 2 frames, 3, would you see a movement? And the answer was no. You do not see that. What you see instead, if I showed you 3 frames, 2 frames, 3 frames, 2 frames, like that, in quick succession, right? What you see is 3 triangles. You don't actually see individual triangles. You see like a series of triangles moving. You actually see more than one triangle on screen at a time. Because there is something called Bloch's Law. If you haven't heard of Bloch's Law, I don't blame you, because it is fucking insane. It is hard to even wrap your head around. So and I'm going through all this to kind of talk through my video that I'm going to eventually write, is that it is a mistake to think that your eyeballs are cameras, because they are not cameras. Your eyeballs are very weird biological sensing mechanisms, and they don't feed an image to your brain. They feed what they think is what's going on, and your brain constructs the image out of whatever information your eyes are giving you. If you actually look at the lens of an eyeball and you try to create like make a camera out of it, it is worse than like a Barbie toy camera. It is horrible. Your eyes are terrible. It's your brain that kind of figures out what the heck is going on with this world, right? So the Bloch's Law states that for something underneath 10 milliseconds, around 10 milliseconds, and it depends on the brightness too, under 10 milliseconds, your experience, you have no, well, I'm trying to put it in a way that's kind of explanation, I can explain. Under 10 milliseconds, if you have the brightness, you can decrease the duration, and you won't be able to tell the difference. So if I have a flash that's 5 milliseconds and a flash that's 10 milliseconds, with the 10 milliseconds or 5 milliseconds is twice as bright as the 10 millisecond, they would look identical. So under 10 milliseconds, there's like, it becomes like this quantum realm where Heisenberg uncertainty principle, where it's like you don't really know if it's brightness or time. So you can have, there's like a lot of people talking about how there's a great corridor of digital video on the human eye. I hope they're going into my perception of the eye, which is like, don't stop treating it like a camera. It's not a camera. It's weird. That's the whole point. And Rick says persistence of vision. It's kind of the same idea. But with Bloch's Law, there's a lot of people saying that, oh, you can see, like, there's Air Force guys that they can show them a picture, like 1/300th of a second, a flash of an enemy aircraft, and the Air Force pilots can tell you exactly what kind of aircraft that it was from a 300th of a second flash. And they say, well, that's proof that you see 300 frames a second. No, it's not. It's just proof that you can see something that short of time, because the shorter time you make it, all you have to do is make it brighter. You can see infinitely short amount of time as long as it's infinitely bright. So anyhow, why am I bringing all this? Bloch's law states that, or Bloch's law kind of puts a cap on all this. Oh, shoot. Am I still on stream here? What the heck's going on here? Oh, well. I guess analytics is not working. But Bloch's law puts kind of a cap on it. So your frame rate ability to kind of tell what frames are. Oh, yeah. Analytics keeps like showing me I have 0 viewers, and then I'm back to 56. It's weird. Bloch's law to me puts a cap. So the question is, how many frames a second can you see? The answer is 10 to 12, because that's where Bloch's law starts kicking in. Because you can't tell those smaller than 10 milliseconds. You really can't tell the duration anymore. The brain just doesn't work that way. So anyhow, yeah, the flash from a nuclear bomb in a nanosecond will blind you instantly. I imagine so. It's infinitely bright, but it's infinitely short amount of time. But it's infinitely bright. But you can still tell. You can still see it. You might be blind immediately afterward. But yeah. Our visual system is very, very, very complex, and that's why stuff like when I see the 3-2 pull down being like people getting angry about the 3-2 pull down, it's like, no, you can't tell the 3-2 pull down. The only way you can tell, the site like Rate Artings does it, is they put a camera and they take a 1-second exposure of a screen. Our eyes do not take 1-second exposure of the screen. You can't tell. 0 viewers is when we blink and sync. Yeah. So anyhow, Charles Hoffman says it proves that a trained observer who's likely in the upper field of visual acuity can perceive correctly an image at high speed. Exactly right. Exactly. It doesn't prove that you can see X number of frames a second. That's not what's going on here. Alrighty. Does anyone remember if plasma TVs wasn't that refresh rate 600 super cartoons? Yes, I believe that's kind of like those were like 600 advertised 600 or 800, ridiculous numbers. But I think that's also like we talked about, like the flicker, adding flicker to it. Wing IT Production says, would you ever shoot anything at 18 FPS? I'm an animator and former Super 8 guy, so I'm veering back to it. Why not? I would never shoot live action at 18 FPS. Probably because I don't have a camera. 2 reasons. I don't have a camera that can do that. Second reason, I don't have a format to play that back. So. Geez, geez, what's going on? Daniel Saldivar, what have I been watching lately? If you watched, finish off The Mandalorian, finish off The Expanse is new episode tonight, so we gotta watch that. I should probably dig up some Christmas movies. Maybe dig up a Ready for Christmas. I have a feeling I want to watch Coco again. Even though it's going to be a bummer, I'm going to cry at the end of that movie. So, Mindo, good night, man. Thanks for hanging out with me in Scotland. Merry Christmas to you. I did a video for the city. It was a Christmas tree lighting ceremony. So I made this graphic as a Christmas tree lighting ceremony, and they said you can't call it that. It's holiday tree. I'm like, all right, fine, throw the graphic away. Whatever, you're being paid. I don't care. Do whatever you want. Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas to all. All right, I've been on here for a while, haven't I? I've been on for an hour and like 50 minutes. I can't believe I'm talking, because you guys got me talking about frame rate, man. That's how we did this thing. Ugh, it's ridiculous. Oh, you're in London. Cheers, mate. How about stream something in public domain? Well, where's the fun in that? 103 minutes, I know. I've been on here for a while. I've been yakking about frame rate. I got a huffed up about future proofing, and oh my God, I'm just the anger in my soul. All right, well, I am going to probably kill it off and go home tonight, but I promised you I would play something. I believe it's the Christmas song, Have Yourself. No, I want to play Have Yourself a Merry Christmas. So, all right. I'm going to, we'll kill it, top off the stream. All right, fine. I'll answer a few more questions. How do you go about using light meters for setting light exposure? Watch my video on exposure. That will give you an idea. New project's coming out soon, not till 2021. Well, I'll probably redo the set. Oh, in Birmingham, you've rebranded as Christmas as Winterval. Nice. The war on Winterval. Let's talk about low frame rates. Let's talk about you and me. Harold Bowman, thanks for hanging out. Hey, thanks for hanging out with me too. When you're done, go watch my I'm Santa Claus video. I'll show that video. All right, I told you that I'm life of the party. All right, let's do some. Have yourself a Merry Christmas. I gotta warm up here again. That still works, right? All right, here we go. Let's see if we can actually get some. Ah, very good. So, folks, as we end up 2020, have yourself a little Merry Christmas. I hope to bring down the room a little too much with this song. So there's a little bit of Christmas playing for you guys. You guys are tempting me to answer the question about color browns, but we'll save that for next time. Alrighty, cool. We'll see you guys later. Take care. Bye-bye.